Hi, this is Melanie for Pardesi Reviews, and I'm here to do something different, a review of a web series on Z5 called Thiravam. If you're new to Pardesi Reviews, I do film reviews and trailer reactions of Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, and Malayalam films. I was sent the episodes of this web series because I don't subscribe to Z5. Z5 is, I think, a subscription that is available in the United States. This is a web series, and it's interesting to me that these digital platforms in India coming up with their own original content. I mean, there's so much being done on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, and so forth. New original content that doesn't have to go through the same censor process that feature films do. And you can, I mean, there's some scenes in this film. There's a brief sex scene, and there's certainly a lot of F words and language which would not necessarily appear in a commercial film. I don't know all of the actors in this web series. It is really interesting. I didn't know anything about the person that it's sort of based on. It's based on Ramar Pillai, who was debunked as having a hoax that he had made a biofuel, something that would have been revolutionary and eliminated the need for petrol. And the logo for this web series, so Thiravam means liquid, and also they've made the logo to kind of look like a dripping drop of liquid, and it also has kind of a gas, like if you're going to a petrol station handle. So I love the logo and everything. I didn't know anything, so I looked up the real person that it's based on. So he had come up with this alternative biofuel, but was proven to this demonstration that he did that there was some paraffin or something in the liquid that then made it light. So he was debunked. But this web series, it's loosely based. And so instead it's Ravi Prakasam, who is just called RP, is the scientist who has come up with a biofuel. The premise is, what if it was real, but there was all sorts of interests from huge corporations and politicians and whatever. What if there were all sorts of people who wanted it to be a failure? And so what we have is RP is a cornered man. All these different groups are after him, and it's really interesting in tone because some of the parts of the episodes are very comedic. Some have amazing action scenes for a web series. Some parts are more serious drama, but it shifts wildly in tone even within one episode. There's 8 episodes. I can't find, there's no IMDb page or Wikipedia for the entire thing. So I don't know exactly all of the character actors, but there's so many different character actors involved. Prasanna plays RP, and I think, they've done all this makeup job, so he has this big paunch. He looks like a middle-aged man. He's got the graying hair and everything. And then he has a young daughter, Minu, which I knew from the beginning of seeing a little kid that we're going to have a kid in peril at some point. And then there's all these different groups of politicians and gangsters. There's even a guy known as Mexican because he's mafia. John Vijay plays one of the people after him. There's Najendra Prasad, Prabhudeva's brother, plays a character named Edward, and he was amazing. And then I was super impressed with his performance, especially in the last couple of episodes is when he really comes to the forefront and has a bigger role to play, and he had some amazing scenes. I believe it's Indhuja is the actress that plays his lawyer. There's a couple of other actresses. There's a guy that plays his best friend Sengi from childhood. He was really, really good in a couple of key scenes. And there's a guy that was playing sort of a politician. His character's name was Vitravel. I'm not sure who the actor was. So some of his scenes were really over the top and like a bit too much for me. And that partly the editor, writer, director is Arvind Krishna, who has been a cinematographer on several, or director of photography on several other films. So I was impressed with the way a lot of the shots were really interesting. I was really amazed, especially some of the action scenes, how everything was done. But I felt like some of the episodes were stretched. Some of the comedy bits were stretched a little bit longer than they needed to be. It would have been more effective being shorter, and just went on too long. It's 8 episodes. Each episode is about half an hour, and I'm not sure that the miniseries, the plot and everything really needed to be a full 4 hours long. Some of the episodes, like I said, were a little bit stretched, but especially when we got to the action scenes and the last couple of episodes, I was really impressed. I don't know who the actor is who plays sort of a police inspector kind of role, and he was quite good as well. You know, it was really interestingly filmed, especially in some shootout kind of action parts. Prasanna, sometimes I felt like he was a little over the top in his characterization. He's playing someone who I almost felt like he was playing somebody that was a scientist that was sort of on the spectrum, like maybe very socially awkward, possibly Asperger's or something like that, because I felt like he constantly was moving his head so he wasn't looking people in the eye. But he had a very strong relationship with his daughter. I liked all of the scenes with the daughter. And a very emotional scene with one of the female friend characters later in the series. So, for me, he had some scenes that were extraordinary, and then he had other scenes that I felt like he wasn't equally excellent in every single episode and every single scene. But overall, very good, especially playing opposite Nagendra Prasad in the last couple of episodes. I thought those scenes, he was really, really good. Overall, I think it's worth seeing. I binge watched over a couple of days all 8 episodes. Some of the comedy was really funny in the earlier episodes, but the tone is wildly, it's almost kind of whiplash sometimes of how different you're going from very comedic to action to intense to, so it's everything all in one. But an interesting story, like if somebody really had come up with a formula that was going to put all of the oil companies out of business, what would happen? And if it was something that could make millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars, who would be after that formula? Who would be after it? Sometimes it made me think of tones of things like in The Sopranos, where you go from laughing to stunned at, the twist and the people that turn on each other. Oh man, there were so many people that seemed to be supporters, and then you would find it was very complex of what everyone's back motivation really was, and you were just really surprised. I don't want to spoil anything, but I was surprised with several people's back motivation and how they turned on our scientist RP in his time of need. So he was on the run, and it was interesting when you thought, oh my gosh, he's so naive and everyone's getting the best of him. And then sometimes, he's a brilliant scientist. He did come through with some things that were extremely clever in the end. So they left it open at the very last episode that there's a possibility that there could be a second series. So they left it open-ended that it could, I thought, oh, it's just going to be a contained thing, but they left it open-ended that they could go on with the story. So it'll be interesting to see if it's picked up and what kind of a reaction it gets, and if they're able to make another series out of it. Anyway, if you've had a chance to catch this web series, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter at PardesiYT. Subscribe here to Pardesi Reviews. And if you hit the bell when you subscribe, then you'll get a notification whenever I have a new trailer reaction or film review.